Namaskar doston. Welcome to the series where we learn to write answers. We learn to write better answers so that you can score better marks in your mains examination. We differentiate between different words such as evaluate, analyze, elucidate. There are very subtle differences between these words, and once you understand the meaning of these words deeply, you will write answers in a different manner, which is going to help you to get more marks than average, and that is going to give you a boost in your overall mains preparation. So if you are starting to write the answer, or you have been writing answer from a long time, it is of paramount importance to understand the difference between these words. We pick up one word in each video, and today we are going to pick up a very important word which you must have seen many times in the UPSC mains question paper, that is critically examine or examine. Now, we call these words as tail words when they are attached at the end of the question, and we call these words as directives if they are attached at the front of the question. Today we are going to study about examine. Examine is very closely linked with evaluate. Okay, and the definition of examine and critically examine are almost same. तो दोस्तों, जो आपको एग्जामिन में करना है, जो आपको इवेल्युएट में करना है, ऑलमोस्ट वही चीज आपको क्रिटिकली एग्जामिन या क्रिटिकली इवेल्युएट में भी करना है. So let us understand the meaning of what examine means or what evaluate means. So this requires you to point out the flaws or the weaknesses in an argument or idea. Now, whatever may have been asked in the question, there are definitely flaws in that particular argument or in that particular idea. What you have to do is to pinpoint that flaw in the argument. So this is the first thing which you will do. Moving on. But also you are expected to indicate the positive aspects. Do not forget this. Every question, even if it has flaw, definitely it will have some positive aspect, and you have to pinpoint that too. So that is number 2. Okay, so number 1, you have to point out the flaws or the weaknesses. Number 2, you have to indicate the positive aspects. Now further, your answer must not be biased. This is the third thing. If you are pointing out at flaws, let's say, your answer must not go into the negative category, that you are criticizing that idea or that argument so much that it looks biased. Neither you should over highlight the positive aspects where your answer starts to look biased. So biasness must not be there. Neither it should be too much negative, nor it should be too much positive. You have to point out the flaws. You have to point out the negative aspect in the argument or the idea. At the same time, you have to point out to the positive aspect of the argument or idea. But you have to keep the balance. You cannot look biased. This is the third important thing here, and should give a balanced answer. Any decision or judgment you may make must be supported with evidence. Now this is the fourth thing which you must delve into. There must be evidences. Evidence होना चाहिए किसी भी point को. अगर आप argument को make कर रहे हैं, you need to have the evidences with you. Some concrete example which you must give. Evidences simply means some concrete example. If you have the concrete example to support your flaws or to support the positive aspects, then simply the answer is going to look far better. And at last, I would say you also have to give, this is the fifth thing, you also have to give the suggestion. Again, the suggestion should not be biased, and it should be solid. It should have some kind of, rational basis, logical basis. It should show some kind of outcome to the society. Now let's understand this aspect of examine or critically examine through question. If you see here, there are 3 questions. This is 2022 question, 2025 and 2025. We just need to see how to use these words while writing the answer, how to hit the answer to its core while using these words. So examine the evolving pattern of center-state financial relations in the context of planned development in India. अब देखिए दोस्तों, सेंटर स्टेट रिलेशंस के बारे में आपने बहुत बार पढ़ा होगा. सेंटर स्टेट रिलेशन कई तरह के होते हैं, बट यहां पर स्पेसिफिकली फाइनेंशियल रिलेशंस के बारे में पूछा है. एंड दे हैव आस्क्ड अबाउट द इवॉल्विंग नेचर of the financial relation in the context of planned development. Now if you see, what they are really trying to ask is how over the period of time since 1950s to the present time we see the evolution of the center state financial relations. Now you have to pinpoint that, okay, there was a period of time when it was totally centralized. National development councils and Gutgill formula, you know, all these things were used, and because of these, you know, the grants which were given or the tax devolution which was done was heavily dependent on the central government. Then came the post 1991 period, which is called as the liberalized period. Some changes were seen, but recently when you see what has happened, it is about cooperative federalism, where you see the more devolution coming from the 15th Finance Commission in tune to 41 or 42% of devolution. Then after Finance Commission, you have the GST Council, which is a very good example of cooperative federalism. So the financial relations of center and the state has been changing over a period of time. Now you have to pinpoint these things. If there is a flaw, of course there was a flaw. That's what you have to pinpoint, the flaw. Where you are going to pinpoint the flaw? The centralized system. See here, because you know, on one hand we are talking about devolving the powers to the state so that the states can take their own decision. It is very good for development, you know, this power decentralization. But at the same time, we are not giving them the financial power to look after their own policies and schemes. So that is the flawed argument which you have to actually present here. At the same time, there are positives also. If you look at this, there are definitely positive. And what are these positives? Then when the system have changed to cooperative federalism, we have understood the importance of the state governments and the municipalities taking their own decision for their own development in a planned manner. Okay, so what you are doing? You are pinpointing at the flaws. At the same time, you are also pinpointing at the positive aspects. You don't have to show the biasness, and you should give the evidences also. Some, if you have the facts presented by several bodies, how the changes have come in the devolution, how the changes have come in devolving the powers through the GST Council or cooperative decision making through the GST Council, that is very important. How it has helped the economy to grow, or how the centralized system has helped the economy to get arrested or stuck. These kind of evidences must be there. Now the last thing which you must present is the suggestion. Suggestions are very important when they have asked you to examine something. दोस्तों इसको ऐसा समझिए कि आप किसी कॉपी को एग्जामिन कर रहे हैं. अगर आप किसी कॉपी को एग्जामिन करते हैं तो क्या पूछा जाता है? किसी एक स्टूडेंट की लेट से आप कॉपी एग्जामिन कर रहे हैं. द आउटकम देयर इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. यू मस्ट टेल योर ओपिनियन, व्हाट यू हैव अंडरस्टूड आफ्टर एग्जामिनिंग दैट कॉपी. सो आपने जब पूरे क्वेश्चन को एग्जामिन किया, इसके बाद कुछ सजेशंस तो आपको देने ही पड़ेंगे ना. विदाउट सजेशन ये आंसर कंप्लीट नहीं होता है. जब आपको एनालाइज करने को बोला जाता है तो आप सजेशन मत दीजिए. देखिए पॉलिसी एनालिसिस होता है, पॉलिसी एनालिसिस के बाद कोई सजेशन नहीं दिए जाते. बट हां, अगर आपको कोई कैग की रिपोर्ट एग्जामिन करने को बोले तो जरूर बताया जाता है ये फ्लॉ है, ऐसा है, वैसा है, एंड दीज आर द सजेशन, दिस इज द ऑल्टरनेटिव. ठीक है, तो उसी तरह से इस क्वेश्चन में भी यू मस्ट प्रोवाइड सजेशंस दैट सेंटर स्टेट रिलेशन को सुधारने के लिए सजेशन क्या है. देखिए एक और क्वेश्चन देख लेते हैं. क्रिटिकली एग्जामिन, अब यहां पर एग्जामिन है और यहां पर क्रिटिकली एग्जामिन है. व्हाट आई एम टेलिंग यू टू डू almost the same thing in both the question. Do not worry why this word critically has been included. जहां पर एग्जामिन करने को बोला है, आपको नेगेटिव फ्लॉज निकालने हैं, पॉजिटिव फ्लॉज निकालने हैं, पॉजिटिव एस्पेक्ट्स निकालने हैं, उनके एविडेंसेस देने हैं, लास्ट में सजेशन देना है. द सेम थिंग यू हैव टू डू इन क्रिटिकली एग्जामिन ऑल्सो. Critically examine the procedures through which the presidents of India and the president of France are elected. अगर आप देखेंगे तो बेसिक डिफरेंस क्या है इंडिया और फ्रांस के प्रेसिडेंट के प्रोसीजर में, इलेक्शन के प्रोसीजर में. देखिए जो इलेक्शन होता है प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया का, वो इनडायरेक्टली होता है, और प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ फ्रांस इज डायरेक्टली इलेक्टेड बाय द पीपल। अभी जो डायरेक्ट इलेक्शन होता है जहां पे लोग सीधा घर से निकल के जाते हैं और वोट दे देते हैं, जबकि यहां पर इलेक्टोरल कॉलेज जो इंडिया के प्रेसिडेंट को इलेक्ट करने के लिए होता है, दैट कंसिस्ट्स ऑफ द स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली मेंबर्स, द मेंबर्स ऑफ द पार्लियामेंट कंसिस्टिंग ऑफ द लोकसभा एंड द राज्यसभा, एंड ऑफ कोर्स ओनली द इलेक्टेड मेंबर्स, नॉट द नॉमिनेटेड वन। सो यहां पर इनडायरेक्ट इलेक्शन है या डायरेक्ट इलेक्शन है। अब इसका पॉजिटिव और नेगेटिव क्या है, दैट इन इंडिया being a parliamentary form of democracy, the president is the nominal head. The president does not have discretionary powers. He cannot take decisions on his whims and fancies. He does not hold any real power. The real power is in the hand of the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. So that is the argument which you can provide. Whereas in France, the president has so much power because he is directly elected by the people. So इस तरह के आर्ग्यूमेंट्स आपको पेश करने हैं जहां पर आपको फ्लॉज बताने हैं या नेगेटिव आर्ग्यूमेंट्स अगर कुछ है या वीकनेसेस कुछ हैं वो बतानी है, पॉजिटिव एस्पेक्ट्स बताने हैं, साथ ही साथ में आपको एविडेंसेस देने हैं इन चीजों के, और लास्ट में आपको सजेशन देना है। और पूरे आंसर में कहीं ऐसा नहीं लगना चाहिए दैट आपकी किसी भी प्रकार से किसी भी तरह पे whichever side you have any kind of biasness, इस चीज का ध्यान रखिए बस। दोस्तों एग्जामिन वर्ड एनालाइज से कैसे डिफरेंट है, सेम चीज करते हैं हम दोनों में, बट एनालाइज में वी डू नॉट गिव द सॉल्यूशन, इन द एग्जामिनेशन इन द एग्जामिन वर्ड वी डू गिव द सॉल्यूशन और वी डू गिव द सजेशन। वे फॉरवर्ड या सजेशन या अपना ओपिनियन देना बहुत जरूरी होता है एग्जामिन में, विच इज नॉट नेसेसरी when you are writing an answer where they have asked you to analyze a particular argument or idea. I hope you have understood this. So thank you very much for joining me in this video. Have a nice day and Jai Hind.